Oh well, what do you know? 2021 has already come to an end, and it's time for another one of my end-of-year roundups. It's definitely been another interesting year, that's for sure. Music videos and regular YouTube content creation alongside some rather unpleasant anxiety attacks that I've been experiencing over the last couple of months. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 key lessons that I took away from this year. So let's get started. You won't enjoy everything in the activities you love. This might seem like a really obvious thing to some, but I believe that many of us think that if we're doing a job that we don't like, and then we finally work our way up to our dream job, then we'll basically be happy all the time and we'll always be doing something that we enjoy. But as much as I love filmmaking, I'm not always motivated to start brainstorming ideas for a project, or calling a hire company to order that particular piece of film equipment that you need for a specific shoot day, or even importing all the footage when you finish your project, and then organizing it all into folders so you can then start editing it properly. You could argue that some of what I said could be outsourced to a producer or an assistant of some kind to help with the workflow, and this is of course one of the benefits of growing your financial wealth. But sometimes you just have to grind through some of the less enjoyable parts of your job. Editing videos, for example, is something that I do enjoy, but I just don't quite have the same love for it as I do for holding a camera and filming content. Which is why last month I decided to start outsourcing all of my YouTube editing, not because I dislike editing, but just because it's going to be way harder to create content on a regular basis if I was doing all of the editing myself. My recommendation to all of you guys would be to take some time to list all of the things that you don't like doing in the particular career path or journey that you're following, and consider how you could make those things a little bit easier for yourself, or ways that you can make it a slightly more enjoyable process than it already is, whether that be through financial means or some other incentive to help you get started on a particular task. For instance, this year I've been a lot more consistent with doing the Pomodoro technique, in which I only start working for 25 minutes on a particular task that I need to do before stopping to take a break. And oftentimes that 25 minutes actually gives me enough momentum that I can continue working even beyond that time limit. You can also start to add in incentivization into this by working for 25 minutes and then rewarding yourself with a 15-minute break of playing, let's say, the Nintendo Switch as a little reward for your uninterrupted work. There's a really good book that I'd recommend called Atomic Habits by James Clear if you feel like delving into this topic a little bit deeper. So remember that no matter what you do, there's always going to be things that you'll not enjoy as much as other things. And a lot of times from my perspective, it's just about shifting your mindset in terms of what is worth suffering through in order to get to all the good, juicy stuff that is involved in the particular thing that you're doing. The stuff that really sets you on fire and truly makes you feel like you're in your element. And for me, that is being physically on a film set and pressing the cut button after capturing an incredible take, knowing that all of this work that was put into the pre-production is coming together on set and we're capturing something incredible together. Be the connector to people around you. More and more, I find it's easy for people to just stay at home, do their work, and find every excuse not to leave the house, which I myself have been pretty guilty of in the past. But when I look back at this year, some of my fondest memories that I've taken away have been when I've been just hanging around with friends, going to gatherings, going on walks, watching movies, or cooking food together. And a few of those occasions were just initiated by me sending a message to either my friends or acquaintances with a simple, hey, let's have a movie night at my place this Friday. And it's interesting because socializing like this is sometimes not a very easy thing for me to do, because unlike watching a YouTube tutorial about, let's say, After Effects, where there's a very measurable increase in your skill by sitting down and watching that tutorial, hanging around with friends and spending time with them is less measurable in terms of the benefit that that has to my overall life and happiness and well-being. But for me, when I do have these social gatherings, I really start to experience and feel the positive difference that this brings to my life. A sense of community makes me feel less small in a massive city. I feel even more connected to new people that I meet because I know very quickly that I can bring them into a really dynamic, interesting social circle. And on the days that I have to stay sat inside on my computer to work on something, I just feel a lot more calm and refreshed knowing that I had my social fix the day before. You don't even have to have a large group of friends to start reaching out to people like this. Even something as simple as grabbing a coffee with a friend for 30 minutes or having lunch with them instead of having it on your own can give you really, really positive benefits on your own mental well-being. Even during the periods this year when I felt like everything was going really well in my life, if I was lacking in this area, I would just feel like there was a gap somewhere. So if you feel like a little challenge in 2020, you could reach out to one person that you haven't spoken to in a while and try and suggest a catch-up of some kind. Your mind might begin playing tricks on you at first, thinking about what if they reject you or completely ignore you because you haven't spoken to this friend in weeks. And also you might start to question, why am I the person who's reaching out to them? Why didn't they reach out to me? But remember that any form of rejection that you experience will only help attune you to reaching out in this way in the future, because you won't be as fearful about the idea of someone saying no to you again. And most importantly, you can always be proud of yourself for being the person who actually reached out in the first place. To bridge the gap between two people when all too often we feel like a simple like on an Instagram post is enough of a step to continue nurturing a previous or future potential friendship. Reflect on what you've achieved so far. Sometimes we can really be our own worst critics. And especially with our everyday consumption of social media, analysis paralysis is happening even if we're unconscious of it. And while we should be reflective for what we perhaps should have done better in the year or what we could have improved on, we shouldn't forget to take stock of what we actually did well this year, no matter how big or small it may be. Improvement is improvement at the end of the day, and to feel any sort of tangible connection to this through self-reflection is never a bad thing. For instance, this year, I made a music video with my longtime collaborator and good friend Mimi, aka Saying Away, and we ended up getting nominated for Best Editing at the Hungarian Music Video Awards. David gets a music video beat us, but, you know, I'm sure I'll get over it. I also finally became way more consistent with my own YouTube releases, something that I'd been wanting to do for over a year now. But I never took the time to build a structure to integrate it into my life in a way that would work around all of the many other things that I want to do. Yes, I didn't make as many music videos as I perhaps wanted to, but the one that I did make was an incredible experience. And yes, I did have many days where I didn't work anywhere near close to 100% of my creative capabilities, but I still made small steps of improvement on whatever I was working on. For me, the trigger to become better at being self-reflective was also due to the fact that I suffered from a lot of anxiety attacks this year, with the reasons often being seemingly disconnected from anything that I was going through at the time. So being a little bit more forgiving towards myself and slowing down that desire that I might have to hustle, without comparing any of my growth or achievements to those around me, really helped me be a lot more consistent than I perhaps otherwise would have been. As admirable as it is to set goals coming into 2022, I really feel like you need to go at your own pace for when you feel like these should be achieved. This will be different from person to person and from situation to situation, but I truly believe that most things that many of us want to achieve in life would work better in the form of a marathon mindset rather than a sprint to the finish approach. Except perhaps training for the 100-meter sprint, because then you kind of have no choice but to try and sprint as fast as you can.
Maybe somebody can! Is that our cameraman? He's matching him stride for stride! He's run the whole race with that camera on his shoulder! Just incredible!
Thank you to everyone who's been following my content on YouTube this year. I really do appreciate all of the positive feedback that I've gotten from close friends and also complete strangers who've just happened to stumble across my channel. It's been a lot of fun to put these videos together for you guys, despite the fact that I've been maybe a bit more sporadic than I would like to with my releases, so here's hoping that in 2022 I can be a lot more consistent. If you'd like to see my end of year roundup from last year, then you can check out this other video on my channel right here. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing and safe New Year's Eve, and I will see you all next year / in the next video. Bye bye.